Hello, welcome to this month's video. I'm going to be taking you through all the yarn in my stash and the plans I have for everything. First off, I just want to say I don't think there's a good or bad way to collect yarn. I prefer a small stash, but I think all stashes are good stashes. For me, I tend to picture all of my yarn with the plans that I want to use them for, and if I have too many plans lined up in my head, I start to get a bit antsy. So I prefer to have a small stash and then steadily work through the projects. I also don't like having large quantities of yarn in my stash without any plans, so I much prefer to know exactly what each yarn is going to be made up to. So my current hope for all the stash yarns I have at the moment is to work through them by October. That might not happen with all the smaller bits of scrap yarn, but the garment quantities I would like to have everything made up by October. This is because I have just bought my ticket to the London Knitting and Stitching show that's in Alexandra Palace. Me and my mum are going to go together. She is a quilter and textile artist, and this will be my first yarn knitting show. My hope is at the show to get a few garment quantities of yarn. I've got a few things in mind, so I will talk about those in another video. So my plan is to stash down the majority of my yarn before October, which is when the Knitting and Stitching show is. With that explanation, let's show you everything I've got. So this is the culmination of my stash at the moment. I'm going to take you through the garment quantities and then we'll briefly talk about scraps, but scraps are more of a longer term thing for me. First off, this yarn actually graduated from stash to work in progress not too long ago. I had to join my last ball of it, but I just wanted to mention it as an honourable mention. Excuse the sock. I've been having a lot of problems with my yarn cakes falling apart, and I don't know which podcaster mentioned about wrapping your cake in a sock, but it's bloody genius. This is the Valley Yarns Huntington in Harvest Orange. I have just under 500 grams now. I'm making two shorty socks. The socks that I'm making are the Ario socks by Lisa Schmidt. These have become my travel project, so I'm hoping to have them done fairly soon. Next up we have Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in Dusty Artichoke. I did mention this in the last video that I made, which is, you might notice there's only two. That's because I've used one of them to cast on a tank top. So for those of you that watched my last video, you'll know that I was between two patterns. I have decided I am going to knit the Twisted Loop top by Other Loops, and I've actually used the first ball of these to cast that on. So I'm sure that will feature in an upcoming video. Staying on the topic of Knitting for Olive's Cotton Merino, I have some leftovers in Dusty Blue Whale and Terracotta Orange. So I've been finding with my tank tops, I end up with just under a ball left. I'm hoping that's also what's going to happen with the Dusty Artichoke colour that I'm making my current tank top out of. So my hope is, with actually these three colours combined, I can make a stripy version of the Camisole number 9 by My Favourite Things to Knitwear. I know, another Camisole number 9, but it's going to be striped, but it's going to be cute. I think it's going to be cute. Next up, I have two colours of Lily's Sugar and Cream Cotton in Denim Blue and Potpourri Ombre. They have these really cute flecks of colour. The Denim Blue has blue flecks, but the Potpourri Ombre has like lilac and blue and pink. They're really pretty. These two colours combined are going to make a plant hanging basket. I've made a couple of these already in like one of each colour, and I was left with just over a ball, I think. So together I can make one more. Next up is Debbie Bliss Piper in this beautiful lilac colour. It is the colour 12014, very catchy name. And I thought I had a lot less of this than I do. I was really looking for another tank top pattern to use this up, and I didn't quite have enough to safely make even a crop tank top, but I found this crocheted top in my wardrobe, which I never wear. So I'm going to unravel this, add it to my 2 and a bit balls, and that actually leaves me with 428 grams, which should be more than enough for a top. I think I'm going to make the bell tank top by Mabel Knitting. It looks really pretty and quite similar to the camisole number 9, but it's knit at a DK weight, and this yarn is DK. It's a beautiful cotton viscose blend, so I think this is going to make a really lovely summer top. This next one I'm not going to stay too long on because I did mention it in my last video, but I have 2 colours of knitting for Ovis Merino and their corresponding soft silk mohair in Blue Tit and Marzipan, and these are going to be the Songbird Mittens by Erica Hauser. This will be my first colourwork project and I'm really excited to start these. They are probably going to be my next project after I finish my tank top. And we've already come to my last big quantity of yarn, which is the Katia Big Merino. I have 2 colours of it. I have this cream colour, which is just called cream. I have just over 200 grams of this, and I have the colour 029, which is this beautiful deep purple colour. And I have 2 full skeins of this, so another 200 grams. So this yarn I was actually gifted by my sister-in-law. They found out they were allergic to the yarn as they were making something, so I got gifted the half-finished project and the rest of the yarn. I decided to unravel the project and I'm going to make Christmas stockings. Originally I really wanted to make the Christmas stocking by Petite Knit. I had an idea of making 6 of them this Christmas for everyone in my family, but I did not realise that the yarn I have is actually superwash, so I won't be able to felt them like it is in the pattern. So with this yarn I've decided to make the chunky cable stockings by Christina Marie. They're these really pretty chunky cabled stockings. This pattern is a free pattern, so bonus, and the sample pictures they have on Ravelry, they have lined them. I will knit these up and I'll see how I feel about lining them. I have attempted to line a project before and it's gone quite badly, so I'm hoping I'll have improved my skills. These are going to be stockings. Now moving on to scraps. I'm just going to take you really quickly through my scrap boxes. I won't go kind of one by one. I actually don't know a lot of these yarns because these yarns don't have labels, but this is my cotton box. There is a bunch of weights from lace to fingering to DK to chunky. The thick stuff is going to be washcloths and I'm not sure what to do with the lace weight stuff. If you have any ideas for crochet lace weight pieces that don't take too much yarn, then let me know please, because I'm not entirely sure what to do. I have destashed quite a lot of it already, but I do want to make some things with the stuff I have left. I have this gorgeous variegated purple and the same but in yellow. I actually have 2 rounds of this. Otherwise the rest is destined for cloths. So my other scrap yarn box is kind of miscellaneous. This is all the leftovers from garment projects and just little bits of stuff I've had in my stash for quite a while. Most of this is destined for Christmas ornaments, either for myself or as gifts. I find that's one of the easiest ways to use up scraps, is making like mini versions of things that can hang on a tree. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really know what to do with them. So I shall briefly talk you through this box of various things. So we'll start with what was at the top. It's also the most rustly, so I'm gonna hold it very carefully. This is a Ziploc bag of all of my scraps from my Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit. I finished it and showed it off in my last video, so this is what's left. The yarn from my Cumulus blouse actually came from another jumper, and I'm so surprised how much of it I have left. I know I shouldn't be that surprised because I crocheted my first jumper and I knitted my second, so I should have guessed that it wouldn't have taken up that much yarn. But I have a lot left. When I finished my jumper the first time round, I actually used a lot of those scraps for Christmas ornaments. I made little stars and Christmas trees. So I could go along those same lines again. I held a lot of the yarn double, so that could be where I take it, but I'd be tempted to weigh it and see if there's enough for a short-sleeved, very cropped garment. I may be deluding myself. I'm going to think about it. Otherwise, this is going to be perfect yarn for Christmas ornaments. So TBC for the leftovers from that project. I have 2 bundles of scrap sock yarn. One of them is in this really pretty cream colour, which actually has a nettle content in it. I don't remember how much nylon content, so I'm not that keen on using it for socks. So this is another candidate for Christmas ornaments. I think it's such a beautiful colour. It would make some lovely snowflakes or stars and things like that. And I have this just standard like 25% nylon and 75% wool. I made a really lovely pair of socks. I might keep these for heels and toes because I hate it on a variegated yarn when the stripes get interrupted, and I haven't figured out how to do that smoothly without like cutting the yarn, rewinding the ball, taking it from the other end. So if I have kind of scraps, then I can just do the heels and toes in different colours. Very surprisingly, I actually have some scrap tin line, and again, quite a lot of it. I've got a whole skein and 2 little bits. These are scraps from the top that I'm wearing now, and I don't know what to do with just over a whole skein of this. It feels too nice to just go into dish rags. I could probably make like bigger tea towels out of this one, but that seems like a really boring project to just use up some yarn. I do have trouble motivating myself with scrap projects, so I do need them to be either very small or quite interesting. So yeah, what do you do with a whole skein of tin line? I have to look that up. They do have quite long meterage, but I don't think long enough. Like, I used 4 balls in this top, so even if I held it single, that's still 2. That's not going to work for me. So yeah, so I'm thinking with this one, not sure. I have some beautiful lace weight yarn. I have no idea what this is. It feels very silky. It's a really beautiful blue colour, and I think a lace weight. It looks like a lace weight. It's very thin, and I've been holding this double with other yarns to bring up the content a bit and to just use it. So I may hold this with other things in the Christmas ornament pile. Speaking of lace weight, I also have a whole ball of Drops brushed alpaca silk in the colour Sweet Orchid. This is definitely a good candidate for Christmas ornaments, so I'll be holding this with other things. And on the topic of Sweet Orchid, I have this teeny tiny bit of Drops Air left. I have been making these mini Christmas jumpers as Christmas ornaments, but I don't think there's enough to make one out of this, which would be really sad. I might have enough to make a little stocking, but I don't know. Anyway, Christmas ornament. Last but not least, I have a little bit of Debbie Bliss Piper, but in this blue colour. I don't know what the blue colour is called, and I've been debating whether or not to add it to the purple stash and do like a contrast hem in whatever tank top I make, but I don't think I'm going to like it very much. So instead, it's ended up in my scraps and will probably be some kind of Christmas ornament. I find these types of yarns, like the cotton and the like plant-based fibres, make Christmas baubles really nicely. So I think there's some blue baubles in my future. And that's it. I really don't have very much in the way of stash yarn, and I'm really hoping to get most of the stash worked through by October before the knitting stitching show. I think that's going to be slightly harder to do with the scraps as well, but my aim for the scraps is just to have everything fit in the boxes. So, and I'm going to be generating more scraps as I start finishing garments as well. So my hope is to just always be able to fit all of the scraps in the boxes. But I hope you enjoyed this. I really like watching other people go through their stash. Granted, usually it's a lot bigger than mine, but it tends to give me inspiration on what to make. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Who's that?